but that doesn't mean you sell who you are to appease those people, because that's not awareness.
Check one, check.
Okay, welcome back. Another episode. Let's talk about that. I'm Seckert, and this is...
I'm Glenda.
And today's episode, we are talking about awareness.
Awareness
And what we think awareness means. And what the general population thinks it means. I don't think it's correct. I think they missed the boat on that one.
How we were trained.
What is awareness that most people are, when you look the definition up, awareness means something in the dictionary, and it's probably describes, I don't know what it says, but probably describes being alert, being a cognitive thinker, something along that line.
I think part of it is why do we do the things we do, and why don't we do the things we do? We get programmed, and we're kind of in this wheel, and we don't even question why we do the things we do.
Right.
We're not really aware. We don't dig deeper into how we're not aware.
Right.
How we just continually do the same thing over and over again. It's almost like Einstein's thing, quote, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I think a lot of us do that without even questioning why we're doing it.
Yeah, we just keep our head down and keep moving, right?
Same thing over and over again. Every day you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you're in that routine. Every day looks the same.
Yeah. It's a program. I'm going to go way back in some of the people that I follow today, in my teachings, in my learning, in my education, that my furthering my own education on this topic is really enlightening and revealing of, I've never known really what the proper meaning of awareness is. It's not the way I remember it. It's not like, the light is red and now it's green. I mean, you're aware of those things. That just comes with the program, so to speak. But
sometimes we're not aware of that, though. I know I've driven down the street before, and you go, "Did I just go through a red light?"
Right.
You are because you're on that same path, going to the office or going to the grocery store,
right,
and you're completely unaware because you're already in the grocery store in your mind.
Right. So if I can dive a little deeper in that neighborhood of how we think and how our thoughts work. Awareness in that sense is you're totally unaware.
Correct.
And what I'm saying is, at one point in time in your journey, you were aware of the traffic light when you started to learn to drive.
Right.
Right. And now your mind has been hijacked to teach your body to be responsive to these things that we don't necessarily know we're doing, because it's a habitual. It's a habit that you've taught your body, and not all habits are good, and they're not all bad, but for the large part, what we're talking about is the mind over matter type thing in the awareness sense of
you're
the
programmed,
topic.
And you've done this trip 1,000 times, and you don't even think, you're completely unaware of that route that you do every friggin' morning.
Right. When we're trained to do things that recall from your memory, you're training your body's impulses and responses to do it without thinking about it, like remembering the lyrics to a song, or how to play this piano part, or in a play you're learning your lines, that type of thing. So that becomes short-term memory, right, for that specific purpose. But when we get into the long-term memory, it becomes an auto body response. So your body is now controlling your mind. And this is a fascinating topic, and it is so true to the core. So this is why we do the things that we do, and we don't really understand why we do it.
And we don't question it.
We don't question it. Just because somebody said to do it 25 years ago or 40 years ago, and you're reading out of that same textbook today, it says the same thing. Well, that's proof that we're not evolving right there. So we need to rewrite the book, because evolution will always evolve, or for the very definition of the word. When your mind, I call it a mind drip, when we get so inundated with all the busyness and the chaos of the world that makes zero sense today, that's a dripping mind. And the media and the politicians and all that noise that's coming into all of our families right now is controlling your every thought. And your body's responding in the way of sickness and disease and unhealthy decisions and mental depression and all those that can't put food on the table. This is all stealing from our own cognitive thinking. And we just accept that, because we always have. That. And that's just always the way it's been. Right. And so... it's not the way it's always been, se. But that's the way we've processed information. Right. This is just the way it is. Right. And this is a really deep topic, and we're not going to cover all of it today. Clearly, we're not. I think this is going to be part of a series, actually. It'll forever, be a 7-hour, and it's going to be an evolution. Yeah, and there's. I don't think today I'll mention the people that are really good and versed at this stuff. I don't think I'll mention that today, but I will in future episodes. I just want to kind of talk about it today, in the sense that this is really just the introduction. Kind of, yeah, for sure. And how it's impacted my life. From an epiphanal moment, that you actually rise above who you are. You become a version of your higher self, or a higher version of yourself. Right. So why do we do the things that we do? Why do we continue to pull from the same old toolbox? It doesn't work, never has in decades, but that's our toolbox of skill set, and we try to apply that sense of fixing something with today's set of problems. With today's problems, and a lot of them are new problems, but a lot of them are old problems, and it's never worked. Like in the field of mental depression, it's huge. Like it's one of the biggest, earmarkers that there is. And there's never been a good program for that, and I'm speaking from experience. For sure. And so the full disclaimer here with medications and stuff like that. I'm not a doctor. I don't profess to be one. I don't take any drugs of any sort. That doesn't make me a prude. It makes me a cognitive thinker, that's my opinion of that. A lot of these drugs, and there's many people that are uncovering this right now. Follow RFK Jr. He's going to be blowing this up right away. And you know that, right? And I said I wasn't going to mention any names. Dr. Casey's another one, an actual medical professional that has uncovered this as well. But what the medication does in the medical community is it attacks the specific symptom. Okay, so if you have bouts of depression, as we all do, like I'll be the first one to admit that. Like if I'm not having a bad day, guess what? I'm depressed. I am depressed, right? But then we just go, oh, you get better. Nobody wants to talk about that because that person will figure it out, because nobody wants to even have the discussion. Well, by the time you go to therapist after therapist after therapist, it's too late for you. And there's varying levels of depression. Depression can be very different for everybody. Different people. 100%. I mean, depression can be, and I don't like when people misuse the word depression. Depression isn't just a little bit of sadness that, say you order a meal in a restaurant, it didn't come the way you wanted it, so you're depressed about it. That's not depression. No. Depression is it takes over. It completely takes over. It's completely consuming, whether that's 2 days or weeks or right. It's different. It's different for everybody. It is, and I know a lot of people in that category. I don't want to focus totally on depression because that's depressing by itself.
It's a real thing, though.
But I want to go back to the medication for a minute. Just because you have high anxiety and there's a prescription you can take for that, the anti-anxiety pill, a prescription for it, that's not a fix-all thing. That only masks what's underlying, causing that anxiety.
Anxiety is a very normal part of life. You can be anxious over meeting somebody new or doing a presentation at work, or it's when you can't manage that anxiety. But why are you so anxious? I think that's your question. Yeah.
It's more of a statement. It's an absolute, is what it is. So if I go to the doctor, I don't know why I would go see him, but if I was having some mental anguish, anxiety issues, that's the last place I'm going to go. The last place I'm going to go, because I don't take medication, right? So we are born a perfect specimen, as long as there's no chromosomal problems. That's biologically, we're born with that innate ability to fix all disease. Period. Full stop. We are a perfect specimen. But we take that perfect specimen and we absolutely destroy it from the young infancy ages. So the very first word we all learn is no.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm a parent, you're a parent, everybody's a parent. And the aggravation that the children bring into your life, they're supposed to be the bundle of joy. And the first thing you teach them is no. And then we give them an iPad, a VCR, a movie, because we don't want to parent anymore. Like, really? That's
right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's been a lot of studies on this, a lot of studies from people way smarter than I'll ever profess to be. But you got to listen. That's the problem, that people aren't listening to these things. And from the age of, I'll use Bruce Lipton for an example, and I said I wasn't going to mention names, but here I go. From the age of 0 to 7 years old, you are on record 100% of your day. So everything that your parent is saying, the fights, the anguish, the anxiety, the no's, the yeses, the sex in the back bedroom, the sex on the kitchen counter, that child is learning everything that you're saying in that environment.
That's the highest learning period of a child's life is
Yes.
0 to 7. And once they're in school,
Yes.
they're also being influenced by their teachers, their
Right.
peers, the neighbor kids.
So after the age of 7, the program switches and you're now a young child that is in the school system, in the educational system. And that's another, we need to look at our education system, because that's another absolute, I don't even know what word to call it. It's vile what they're teaching our kids in our education system. And I'm not going to fix it, you're not going to fix it, but the awareness of what these, I'm not saying that the education system needs to implode and be destroyed. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be aware of the toxicity of what the education system or umbrella is teaching these kids today.
But there's toxicity everywhere you go.
That's okay. I'm not going to normalize that. I will never normalize that.
But what I'm saying is it's not just the education system.
No, but it's got to start with common sense conversation. So you're not going to, you're right, there's toxicity everywhere, but if you're not aware of the toxicity in one department or compartment of your life,
you're accepting it everywhere.
You're not aware of it anywhere in your life. Then I'm just trying to step into that void that's there. And that's happened to me for many reasons I was unaware of. And now I am very aware of that, and that's my sole purpose, is to understand that on a very high level of intellectualism, spiritualism. I'm not saying religion. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a higher self. There's other stuff out there that has been suppressed from us for decades, and that's documented as well. I'm just trying to bump up against the edge of it here right now But so at the age of 7, let's call it 8 years old, now you're in the system of the education system, and today we're teaching that it's okay to have cut off body parts, and this is being taught in our institutions. And the woke society and all that shit, that's just it's garbage. And we're saying that's okay as a parent. You know what? Some parents shouldn't be parents, right?
There's a lot of parents that are saying it's not okay.
There are,
It's
but they're
not okay.
being silenced and censored and shut down. They're being arrested.
It's
And if you're not aware of those things, you need to wake up. Because, we're on the verge of World War III. I'm going to add this in just because if that ends up not being cut, I want to explain what that is. So that's the old system pulling me backwards. Okay? So I'm aware of these things, and when that creeps into my mind, I gotta put up the wall and say stop. It's a trigger.
Yeah.
But we are in our world as a whole is in dire bad shape. Direness. It's not good. And so we think that depression doesn't live. Oh, it lives. It breathes. It's the enemy right now, hardcore. And we got a major election coming up politically. The awareness of that is very vast. Nobody likes a politician, whether you're left, right, up, down, black, white. Nobody likes that stuff. But guess what? It's everywhere. And if we're not aware of those things, you're sleeping. Because that will define your very existence in 2 weeks from now. It will, it's going to change the world as we know it. So being aware of that, being able to dive into those deep holes and then come out, right? That's the trick.
You can't live there.
You can't live there. And I used to live there, but I had my epiphanal moment that everything made sense. Why the politicians and the governments are doing what they're doing. And let's not forget, this isn't anti-government, but it is anti-government from a point of toxicity. I believe that we need a governing body. I will say that, but not what we have.
Definitely not.
Okay, so that's the awareness part. I'm not saying I'm anti-government and I don't believe in the rule of law, when in fact the exact opposite is very true and present today. We have no rule of law. And that comes from our institutions, which is our government, period, end stop, full stop. That's where it all comes from. Education, medicine, law, policing, fire, paramedics, all of those things are crown. Okay, so that's your government. And it's imploding. It is absolutely imploding. There should be certain people that are in jail today for the crimes that they've committed, and they're not. Right across the globe. We watch it in our Senate. We watch it in the Congressional Senate in the United States. We listen to the UK. We see what they're going through. Australia, another one. The third world countries, they've always been bad. But guess what? We're proving to them that we're worse with what we're doing here. It's just being aware of those things. Does that make sense? It does?
So you're saying what we're doing here as you're speaking in Canada.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're from Canada.
So so now we talked about 8 years old being in the systems, and then we go off to high school, and then the friends come along, and the influences, and the social medias, and the actual the media itself, and the politicians, and all of that. That's all toxic stuff that happens, and we get inundated by these things, and we wonder why we're feeling a little anxious when it comes time to get into the workforce, right? So then you graduate, you go to, I don't know, if you go to university, you become a lifelong student, the career student they call them, because you can't get a job anywhere, and these levels of anxiety and pressure that the outside world puts on us to be the best that we can be, because we're all measured with money. We're all measured, our success ruler is measured by money, with money. And we all know money is the root of all evil. In fact, we've heard that bumper sticker for millennial.
Well, and money doesn't make you happy, but
no, it doesn't.
If my kid has a 12-year degree and
right.
is earning $500,000 a year,
right, right,
so me go.
Right,
but that doesn't necessarily mean
it doesn't. And I don't want to make this sound like it's really disjointed because I got a lot to say about this stuff. But it's just such a massive topic. But I want to try to keep it focused on how do you become aware. You know these things are happening, but you don't want to talk about them. You are not aware because you're afraid to talk about these things.
And you don't
right?
want when you don't talk about them, then they start consuming you.
They absolutely will consume you. Mm-hmm. And if you can't add to the debate or the conversation, because you know these atrocities are happening
from an honest perspective.
You're not honest with yourself mm-hmm. because you have nothing to bring to the table as far as a debate goes. If you think things are right in the world, then explain them to me, because I'm telling you how wrong they are. Right, from a mm-hmm. cognitive thinking perspective. Mm-hmm. And if that's too uncomfortable for you to hear that, you are not awake, mm-hmm. right? And I'm pretty sure most YouTube channels talk about those things today. Mm-hmm. How many times wake up? Like, you just got to wake up, but people don't know how to wake up. It's not a matter of going, oh yeah, that's wrong, and you just get really mad about it. You have to search within and understand that these things and these components are stealing the mindset that you have. And that's the very mindset that keeps you whole and healthy. Because when you are in control of your mind is in control of your body. Your chemical compound that we're all given from day one, a biological chemical compound of the dopamines and the oxytocins and the what's that other one?
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
Let's see that again. Oxytocin, adrenaline.
Right. So that chemical compound that your brain produces when you get excited about something good, it produces these compounds, these chemical creations. That in turn feeds your pancreas. It feeds all of your organs. So when your mind is not firing and producing these chemicals, these natural chemicals that are good for you, your body can't function. And that's when you get sick, because your mind dictates your sickness.
There's a lot of
studies on that,
yeah. And there's lots of diseases where your mind can make your body physically ill.
It does.
So
the cause and effect of being aware of these things, it's not magic, it's proven. It's biologically proven. It's chemically proven that people can actually cure themselves of most disease.
By keeping a healthy brain.
And you're not going to do that living in a rabbit hole. You're not going to do that not talking about the rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. Because you're closing your capacity to be educated. You're saying, no, I know all things, so I don't want to talk about it. No, you're wrong. I don't want to talk about this. You're just not equipped to talk about it because you know nothing about the subject. That's why people won't come to the table and have a debate. Mm-hmm. So the second that happens, doesn't mean you won the argument, but that person needs help, needs guidance on how to wake up. Mm-hmm. Right?
Because they just don't want to talk about it.
Right. Mm-hmm. So and we've done our own little experiments with that too, as well. The thing is we're so shut down. We got our noses in our phones, and we're walking around life with our head down. I challenge you to go out to the grocery store and look for a smile. I challenge you to go out to your local hardware store and look for a smile.
But this comes back to, we do the same thing over and over again every day, and we all know that you shouldn't sleep with your cell phone on your nightstand. You wake up for a pee in the middle of the night. The first thing you do is check your phone. Why? Did somebody text or did somebody phone? And I think a really important thing that we need to do is unplug.
Yeah.
Because we are so readily available to everyone, everything, every notification.
Except you.
Except yourself.
Yeah.
And you get a Facebook notification that somebody had a better supper than you last night. And you look at it right away. You could be having lunch with your best friend or supper with your partner. And somehow the phone has taken over your life.
Yeah.
And a Facebook notification from anyone else is worth more to me than sitting across the table having a dinner with you. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
It's toxic.
It's an addiction.
Yeah.
And it owns you. And when your phone starts to own you, it's just sick and twisted.
And a lot of people, speaking on the heels of that, a lot of people, they're with their lifelong partner, or it's been 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever that number is, and we treat them like absolute garbage because that's been taught. It's been from the pressures of the outside world because we're unaware that we're even doing it. But we're doing it.
You take that for granted.
Yeah, and we call that love, right? That is the exact opposite of anything that I've ever thought love was. Mm-hmm. I thought love meant a certain thing. It's not that, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes you got to step away from it to become aware. Mm-hmm. And you need to. It's challenging every day because it's so easy to go back, right, to the familiar. But once you become aware and become higher than yourself, you become quite incredible, and understand that everything is not as it seems.
Part of that is taking it for granted because they have been there every day for 20 or 30 years or whatever.
Right.
And you just do the same old. You have the same habits, the same way of speaking to them.
Yeah.
And speaking from experience, when that gets taken away from you, you do
That's
wake
right.
up.
Yeah.
You do wake up, and you don't take things for granted at all, ever.
And so you know, like our I mentioned Dr. Casey earlier. The physician, she's been a physician for like 9 years, and she just quit because of the shit that's in the medical system that's just not good. She's more of a dietitian these days, and she was a specialist surgeon, you know, that specialized on the ear and throat.
Ear, nose, throat?
Yeah. But the point is that the food that we're intaking today this is the awareness as well. Being aware of the stuff that you're putting in your body is absolute garbage from the point of it's killing us. Mm-hmm. It's the pesticides, and I'm not trying to talk vegan or all meat person or whatever. It's just the FDA is very complacent in what they're allowing through. I don't know how many people know the fact that our Roundup and our pesticides that they spray on the fields is actually created in Germany. That's where it was invented, and it was invented by the Hitler regime back in the day for chemical warfare, and it's actually banned in the UK, just like fluoride is banned in the UK. But more so, the Roundup, it's in all our food.
Well,
in
when
North
you
America.
look at the list of additives in food.
Yeah, it's killing us.
And we're demanding ready-made food because we're so busy on the wheel, running to work, running with kids, running here, running there.
Right.
Like when we were in the grocery store the other day, there's actually KD that's ready to go. It's in the frozen section. Right. All you do is throw it in the oven. I didn't even look at the box. But so now you don't have 10 minutes of time to boil it over a stove. It's got to be quicker.
Right.
It's ridiculous. And so we're demanding that, and we're getting it. And you look at the chicken nuggets box, really.
Nothing in it is real.
It should say, may contain chicken, because there are so many additives in it. And the fast food restaurants. Yeah. There's thousands of them.
It's the awareness of what we're putting in our body is actually killing us. So go back to the chemical drip that your brain does, just innately, from your birth given right to for your body to heal itself. So if it doesn't it doesn't drip into your pancreas, all those chemicals, and then your pancreas quits work, and guess what happens? Guess what you now have?
Diabetes.
Yeah, and diabetes is we say it's a sugar. Your body doesn't produce the insulin, which is what happens there, because your pancreas is the organ that produces the insulin. But if your pancreas isn't getting the chemical dopamine and the oxytocin and those things from your brain, it doesn't know what to do. So what do? We put it in a pill. And now you've circumvented your system. So now we're dealing with the fact that your body doesn't produce the insulin. We're not dealing with the fact that your mind is in control of all those natural things. It's eye-opening and very jarring. And we actually have the ability to do many great things with our mind. Mm-hmm. And it's right on the tip of the iceberg, right? And the awareness when you wake up and all of this bad stuff that's going on in the world falls into that category. That's control in a large degree of the population.
Mind control.
Because if we can keep you sick, keep the pharmaceutical wheel rolling, that's the biggest profitable machine that there is on the globe. And follow the money, and all those dirty politicians are behind it. That's the story. Be aware of that. Be very aware of that. So why do you think they're giving us the gears when they're trying to go after the farmers and stuff? They don't want you growing your own food. They want to take our guns away so we can't kill our own food. So we can't provide for ourselves, so we have to feed off the machine that they provide. That's not good. And people don't want to talk about that. And this video might get censored just because of that. That is atrocious. That's an atrocity to mankind. It really is. So the awareness side of it is just being aware. There's a whole nother level of how you can get into meditation and heal your mind and heal all your disease that you have. And that's not for today by any stretch of the matter. I don't profess to be a guru at it, but I tell you what, that's where I'm putting all my focus and all my purpose is going there. Awareness is all about gratitude, forgiveness, being aware that everything that you say and do affects other people, but that doesn't mean you don't need to do them, because it might make somebody mad or upset or cry, or you're not facetiously going out to do those things, but that doesn't mean you sell who you are to appease those people, because that's not awareness, right? And being aware that you're, got to go put on a happy and get along with so-and-so that you've never liked from day one. You're not being aware. You're playing the game.
Part of it, too, is getting rid of the negativity in your life. And we've all had those negative people that tend to suck every ounce of positive energy. Yeah. And we've talked about this, too, where I don't have an hour in my life to waste at another lunch with somebody that just sucks everything out of me.
Yeah. It's very true. And even in the workforce, if you don't like your job, leave. Just leave. Like,
you have choices. We all have choices, and some people exercise them and some people don't.
Don't think that it's going to get better, because it's not, right? You're just going to become more of a shell of a person if you're not doing what you absolutely love.
You have to be in charge of your own life, and only you can make the changes for you. And nobody can tell you how to live your life.
No, they certainly can't. But we're gonna be diving into a whole bunch of cool things around this topic and energy and moving forward and relearning how to rewire our brain, because it can be done, and we'll show you how that can be done. Very confident in that. We can share all those things and how you do this. How do you rewire your brain so you stay aware?
Like I mentioned before, we've got the 7 ways to rewire your brain, and that has had a lot of traction. And
so it's a journey, and it's fun. it's exhilarating, and it's just
And
super engaging.
Not going to say that it's not challenging, because it's very challenging.
Very challenging. A lot of people don't, if you ask them what they want to do in life, and they might be 50, 60, 70 years old, and they still don't know what they want to do in life. But where I'm going with that is I know what I don't want to do, right? I'm still discovering what I want to do, and it's way over here. I'm not going back to the last part, because there's no value in it, right? I'm not saying no value at all came out of that. Of course, good stuff come out of that, but I'm not going into the box anymore.
You're not subscribing to that.
No, I'm not subscribing. Ascribe. This episode is shooting from the hip. Like, none of this shit's rehearsed at all.
Really?
It's just not, because you know what? If we rehearsed it, then you're going backwards. You know what I mean? Because then you're getting prepped and getting prepared, so you're not walking through the new door. You're going to the old door. So the takeaway that I'll leave you guys with is just be aware at how unaware you actually are. And that's not a slap. You know, it's just pay attention to your surroundings. And when somebody comes at you with a different view, do not ignore that person, because you're kind of limiting yourself if you do that. You know? You're saying, the tank's full. I'm the smartest I'll ever be. I will never evolve from this moment right here. Right? I can't live like that. I refuse to live like that.